Have you ever
kill some weights?
felt?
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah.
What's up, guys? This is Daniel Gutierrez, and I'm back here live in Long Beach, California. We're here at Metroflex Gym with an up and rising star in the bodybuilding world. I have Jeremy Coleman here. He actually is Mr. California and also became IFBB Pro Men's Physique. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay. Can you give us a background on your competition history?
Okay, so I started competing last year, May. I think 23rd was the first day that I started competing. I did the cow up in Culver City. I finished overall. I got first place overall, actually. At that show, I got novice overall, so I blew that show out the water. I took myself to the national stage at USA's. Wasn't what I wanted, but I got sixth place, which isn't bad for only my second show. Third show, which was in Miami, I earned my pro card. After that, I had my pro debut, got third place. My most recent show was in San Diego, actually, and then that's when I got Olympia qualified.
Olympia qualified. That's actually huge for actually only competing for what, less than 2 years now?
Less than 1 year.
Less than 1 year, exactly.
Yeah, I got my pro card I got my pro card from start to finish in 6 months, and then I got Olympia qualified less than a year, so not too bad.
Absolutely. You know, a lot of trainers actually suggest that their athletes wait a year or two before jumping on a pro stage after becoming qualified as a pro. How do you feel about just getting back up there? What made you decide to get up there and jump on stage so quickly?
Well, after I earned my pro card, I felt that it was time for me because I've been lifting for so many years. I started lifting before I started competing, and then until I was ready to actually get on stage, that's when I made the jump to actually get on stage and then keep going and keep going. And every time I stepped on stage, I got better or I got fueled by not the placing that I wanted, so I kept going. And then here I find myself a year later already qualified to go to Olympia, so that's not too bad.
That's incredible. So maintaining contest shape, essentially you continue to come out better and better each and every time, which a lot of athletes don't do. They kind of start getting flat, they kind of start disappearing, and they kind of start getting kind of burnt out essentially at that point in time. So you feel that you just had the rejuvenation and the ability to get back up on stage and compete at that level?
Oh yeah, like I said, I'm as hungry as they come. I'm a product of Long Beach, so I've been here my whole life. Once you see a door opening from a Long Beach standpoint, you try to hop on it as fast as you can, and the judges have been pretty good to me as far as giving me placing that's going to get me noticed. So I've took advantage of it, and every time I've tried to bring a better package to the stage.
Excellent. So how long have you actually been training for, and if you don't mind me asking, how old are you as well?
I'm actually 27. I've been training before I started competing 4 years prior, so the 5th year is when I decided to start stepping on stage, because a lot of people have been telling me, hey, you should get on stage, you should get on stage. So I finally did it, and then sky was the limit after that show, and I kept going.
Absolutely, that's really good. So you're not necessarily a late bloomer, which would a lot of trainers would call a late bloomers coming into training anywhere between 30 and 50 years old, and evidently they've got a 20-year span in the industry because they don't have any injuries like all the old cats that have been training for so many years. They got all these shoulder injuries, all these knee injuries, so on and so forth. So now we have a lot of young viewers as well that get a lot of motivation from our videos. So are there any great pointers that you'd like to give out to young athletes that are out there training anywhere between the ages of 13 and 18, you know, as far as them being consistent with their training, being consistent with their diet? Where would you advise them to focus more on?
Well, first things first, when I started lifting, my diet was not up to par as it is now. So if I have one piece of advice, I would say get that diet under control early, so you know how to tackle your body and you know how it reacts to certain situations as far as carbs, fats, protein intake. So you'll need a good diet to get anywhere in life, and I didn't see that until I actually started competing for my first show, and I was amazed by how my abs looked just from fixing the diet a little bit.
So that small transition just made a huge difference. It wasn't even about the training. You were doing the same type of training, transitioned your diet a little bit, and that's where you saw a big difference, improvements.
Oh yeah, big difference. Like the training's been there. You don't have to tell me to go to the gym and train. The training's always going to be there because I love to do it, but once you tackle that diet, you'll be amazed how your body, because everybody's body reacts different to diet, and so you never know what's under that until you get to it by proper diet and nutrition.
Okay, cool. So now what's your favorite part of Long Beach to actually go training outdoors?
I like Signal Hill because it's a view over the city of Long Beach. It's right in the back door of Long Beach, so if I can run that hill every once in a while, I try to get up there.
Okay, so you like training on top of the hill. Okay, perfect. You like to get the whole view going.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely, that's good. That's a beautiful view. I don't blame you for that. So you get the whole perspective of Long Beach City from there. Prior to becoming a pro bodybuilder, you essentially had a day-to-day 9-to-5 job like everyone else for the most part, I take it. If you don't mind going over what that was like.
Well, I'm still personal training, so I was training before I started competing. Once I started competing and training at the same time, it got pretty tough, I'm not going to lie. I usually get in for my clients about 5 o'clock, and I usually leave at 7 p.m., so the grind is never going to stop for me. I have to get that cardio in, that faster cardio when it's time for shows. And then I still have to be hungry to lift right after I train maybe 9, 10 people to keep going for myself, because at the end of the day, if I'm not practicing what I preach, then what's the point of being a trainer?
That's a full schedule right there, that really is. So now, do you currently have any sponsors that are assisting you in that process right now, or are you open to sponsorship?
I have one actually in Signal Hill. My girl Lisa takes care of my food. I have one in Harbor City at Nutrition Zone. They take care of all my products. I have actually Never Fail, which I'm rocking today, taking care of my gear. So I've been pretty well blessed as far as when I came into the show and actually now to this day.
Okay, very cool. So who were some early inspirations for you as a child coming up in the industry as far as bodybuilding is concerned?
You got to go with Arnold, of course. I like Surge. Frank Zane is a crazy package as well. I draw more towards Frank Zane because he was a shorter guy and he was aesthetic as well. Not to say that the others weren't aesthetic, but that's more of an attainable goal for myself because he's around my height opposed to the bigger guys like Arnold, of course.
Okay, what about any current athletes that are still competing? Anybody up there that you kind of idolize their physiques and were like, hey, if I could have that look, that's the look I'd really go for?
That's a good one. I like my man Steve Cook. I know he doesn't compete anymore from a physique standpoint. Kai Green is a huge inspiration to me. And, of course, C.T. Fletcher, I'm out of his gym as well. So with all that positivity, it's no reason for me to lag because I got all these older guys doing it. So I'm like, I have no excuse to fall behind because they're way ahead of me. And that's something that I got to try to chase, so I got to keep my motor running.
Okay. So are you, other than obviously becoming an IFBB pro in the men's physique, are you super stoked when you first heard about the men's physique coming on board as far as being a part of the IFBB division?
Oh, yeah, I loved it because most people, it's hard to try to convince them to get that big, and I know how hard it is to eat when you're men's physique. So when bodybuilding is around, I'm like, that's not an attainable thing for me. So I'm like, you staying low until the whole time until I see men's physique come out. And then they changed the criteria and came out with classic physique. So it was even better for me because I don't have to get as big as some of these guys out here. I can focus on the look that I want to look because at the end of the day, when I came into training, it was a look that I wanted to produce. And if I had to alter that so much, it wouldn't be fun to me because I would try to have to fit in with what the judges wanted opposed to giving them something I'm comfortable with.
Yeah, the classic physique actually creates a lot of new opportunity. The men's physique guys, they were starting to get a little big. I heard a lot of complaints about that. It was starting to get tougher. They were starting to look more like the original bodybuilder guys that are, coming up in the open division. So that really makes a big difference as far as the new opportunities. So what are you knocking out today, by the way?
I'm going to try to hit back and some shoulders, maybe combo of both. I usually try to focus on the big muscles all at once so I can use all the power that I need for them. But if I can go for both, I'll go for both.
That sounds good. I've got my notepad ready to go. I'm going to take some notes. I'm going to learn from the pro right here. So we'll get back to you guys soon, and we'll catch up soon. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.